Welcome to this week's episode of the Genetic Genius Podcast, where we explore the depths of human potential and genetic evolution. In this episode, we have the honor of speaking with Nicola Clinch, a Master Maturation Facilitator and Teacher, Hay House author, and Shamanic Healer. Nicky is a leading expert in the field of human behavior, healing trauma, and energetic intelligence. Through her pioneering teachings and practices of the BodyMind Maturation Method, she has helped hundreds of people globally to become powerful professional maturation coaches, integrating ancient wisdom, Zen mastery, and the future of the evolution of being human. Our discussion centers around the evolution of being human, embracing infinite potential and maturation. As Nicky shares her insights on how we can heal from the root and discover our truest infinite potential. With her profound life-changing process, Nicky leads people from all over the world to become free of their past and come home to who they truly are. Her dedication to serving the evolution of human consciousness on our planet is an inspiration to us all. So get ready to expand your mind and join us on this transformative journey of self-discovery. Listen in as Nicky shares her wisdom and expertise on how we can embrace our infinite potential and become the best versions of ourselves. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Genetic Genius Podcast. Please give a warm welcome today to Nicola Clinch, a Master Maturation Facilitator and Teacher, Hay House author, and Shamanic Healer, who's joining us today to share her insights on how we can embrace our infinite potential as human beings and break free from limiting beliefs. It's an honor to have you here, Nicky.
Oh, hello, everybody. It's so wonderful to be here. Hi, Lulu. I love you so much. I love that the last time I saw you properly, we were sitting in the middle of the jungle together. Always my favorite place. Feels really good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. And that was such a great, wonderful time. I was just thinking about it. So I was prepping for our call today. I was like, wow, it's almost been a year, which is really crazy.
Yeah.
A lot has happened.
A lot has happened, so much growth, and time just seems to be collapsing right now. Things are happening quick and fast and intense, and in a way that's a really good thing as well.
Yes, and I think we're going to be talking a lot about that on our conversation today, which is a good segue. But before we jump into talking all about the mind, the body, the soul, the spirit, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to our listeners so they can get to know you a little bit better before we dive in.
Okay, firstly, I'm dialing in from New Zealand. I live here in New Zealand. On the other side of this screen, I live on the edge of the rainforest. I have a 4-year-old and a 9-year-old, and I've been married for 12 years now. And I share that because I think the human aspect of our lives is so important. Three years ago, I was living in a basement flat in London in the middle of the pandemic and watching my children play in concrete, and realized, what was I doing? Why am I not living a life that absolutely fulfills every part of my soul? And so we just sold everything in the middle of the pandemic and we crossed the planet and we followed our noses and we ended up creating this extraordinary, beautiful place that we live now. My work is called maturation, BodyMind Maturation. And most people don't know what maturation is. And it's really an ontological transformational process where we work with people on where our past is still frozen in the body mind, coloring how we experience reality and see ourselves in reality. Meaning the experiences of our past wounds, our trauma, unresolved, incomplete memories of the past are frozen in our cells of the body and frozen in the mind, but we don't know it. We just think that's normal. Think this is just who I am and this is the way it is. But what's also extraordinarily powerful and a big blind spot is that what is stored and frozen is giving us how we see. It's giving us the appearing of what is or isn't possible for us in our life. It's giving us our perception of our identity and who we are. And so in my work with people, and it's very deep, really, I take people to the root of what is stuck and what is still living them from the past, so that they can outgrow it on a body-mind level, experientially. And I say outgrow instead of fixing, because it's a much more powerful and lifelong lasting result, meaning the caterpillar outgrows its identity as the caterpillar in order to fulfill its destiny as the butterfly. And that's really the same as human beings. We have that potential in us. I also am a shamanic healer. So I'm currently in an initiation right now to be a shaman. And so I'm learning how to really work with people on a multidimensional level, energetic level. And there's a lot going on right now on the planet about clearing as well, and working with the soul. I really work with you on all levels in the service of you becoming who you were always born to be. And I think that's everybody's dream secretly, even if they may not think it's possible. But I really believe that right now on the planet, it's also life's dream for us. I think that is why we're all here now at this time.
Oh, so powerful, Nikki. I love what you do so much. And I really like your explanation of the maturation, because I think if just hearing the word, you're like, what is that exactly? So that was a great explanation to really help us to dive into our conversation today about healing the body from that cellular level, right? From that trauma cellular level is so important. And our work is in this together is symbiotic, right? Because it's like you're working on that spiritual and emotional level, which I do too, but I'm much more kind of like on the physical cellular level. And it's all one body, one being, right? And which is so important. So thank you for giving that great segue into our conversation. I'd love for us to start about in the place of how we can really outgrow the body mind story and embrace this kind of like infinite potential, which you brushed a little bit of the surface and at the end of your little intro there. Like, how do we tap into that infinite potential as human beings?
You start off with a huge question.
No, right? Yes, I know. I don't mess around, Nikki.
And I say that because it's not like oh, this is how you do it. It's not like that. It hasn't got that kind of answer to it. But it's an important question, because that's what most people in their mind are asking.
Right.
And I think the first way to even answer that, and this is what we do with our clients and our students and our participants, is first recognizing and identifying the blind spots. Where is it that we are living in a way that is given to us by our survival, by our trauma and our survival mechanisms, that we don't know it? Just seems normal. Where are the blind spots? And you'll always be able to identify the biggest blind spot, particularly when you're brand new into this work, by looking at your life where things keep repeating. What are the patterns that keep repeating no matter how many times you try to change your body, your house, your husband, your job, the tone of your voice, and yet you always seem to magnetically be pulled back to the same old experience of yourself in the world. I am the one that never gets chosen. I'm always betrayed. Nobody loves me. I'm alone in the world. What we usually do, and the mind does, is we focus out there. Oh, what's happening out there that's making me feel this way, and try to change out there, rather than realizing that what's actually repeating is happening in here. The experience of betrayal is continuously on a loop. The experience of being alone and unloved, that is on loop, repeating. And it's this survival mechanism that is happening on a body-mind level. It's an experiential emotional experience, meaning it's full of emotion and energy, partnered with a mental construct, mental noise, thoughts, beliefs, ideas that flash through the mind. That body-mind experience, that's the story. That's the mechanical survival pattern that's repeating. And that's where we need to look, because if it is repeating, then it's stuck. And if it's stuck, it's nothing to do with now. It's from the past. And so that's the gateway in. Where in my life do my problems keep repeating? Where am I continuously returning to the same point of suffering? And most human beings will just resign to the fact that, oh, that's just the way it is for me. I'll do my affirmations. I'll do my yoga. I'll be really good today. I'll take all the actions. I'll feel better for a little while. But eventually I will return to this same feeling of loneliness. And that's just as good as it gets for me. And I'm saying it's not as good as it gets.
Right.
That's resignation. That's
Yeah.
survival. That when we can actually start looking at the root, what is it that's repeating mechanically in the body mind? And where did it get stuck? Where did it get frozen? And then we have to go to that root level. Now, how do you outgrow it? The first step is coming out of resistance to it. Experience or memories of the past, and I'll say memory, but I don't just mean conceptually, memory in the body.
Exactly.
The body has absorbed every single experience that we've ever lived through. Everything. That's why when you taste something, suddenly you'll be taken back to this nostalgic experience of when you tasted it when you were 4. Or you can smell candy floss and suddenly you're back at the fair when you're a child. It's in the body and the mind. And the body's absorbed memory of all our experiences, particularly the ones that were perceived points of threat, particularly the ones where we felt in pain or suffering or heartbreak. And the mind is the ruthlessly efficient data collecting machine, absorbing everything, particularly the points of threat where it seems like we are at threat and we may be in pain or not survive. So how do we outgrow it? The first step, and it's not an easy one, is first seeing it, seeing what we've been running from, seeing what's been repeating, and then can we actually come out of resistance to it and start experiencing it? And I don't mean get lost in it. I don't mean get buried in it, but surrendering the fight. Because, and this is a big statement, most of our personality, most of our identity is a survival pattern. We think that this is who we are, but predominantly we have learnt a million billion ways to be who we are in order to survive the pain that we no longer want to feel that we experienced as a child. If you were not seen as a child, your mind will ruthlessly give you a million billion ways that you breathe, that you hold your body, that you suppress your emotions, that you suppress your voice, that you use the tone of your voice, all ways to make sure that you will no longer not be seen again.
Exactly.
And so essentially, we've been living in a state of survival and resistance and wondering, why can't I find myself? Why can't I find myself? And we're trying to find the way home, but the way home is not here. The way home is actually at the root, which created everything.
Exactly. Yes. So true. Yes. Yes. Looking within when it comes from that emotional place that you're talking about is so important. And I love the parallel. I think that one of the pieces when it comes to the disease state is that people disassociate themselves physically from the emotion. And so that's what you're talking about there. And it's not a separation. And I think that's what not that it's a new face of medicine, but it is the new face of medicine. And that people are realizing how much the emotional body is everything when it comes to illness and how we look at but you were talking about childhood, right? How we were raised in a specific way that our body then formulates the environment and our reaction, right? And that's all epigenetics, how we respond to every single stimuli around us to then how we present ourselves in the world and how we stay in that disease state or illness state.
Absolutely. If we really want to go deep, who we see ourselves as, how we get our sense of self as children. And usually the identity is formed around 4, meaning before 4, you don't really have a sense of you being a someone, live in the world.
Going around.
When I asked my son when he was 3, what's your name? He would just go, me. But now when I ask him, he goes, my name's Callum. Callum has been formed in his mind as a someone. He sees himself. Now we get how we see ourselves from the perception of our parents, through the eyes of our parents. That's how we experience, oh, this must be who I am. We also absorb from who they're being. We absorb from who they're being more than what they're saying or doing, meaning my mother was consumed with anxiety and self-doubt. Even though she may have been saying things that were nice, I was experiencing what she was experiencing. And of course, then I start breathing the way she breathes. I think the anxiety is mine, that it already begins absorbing. And then, of course, we have our own experiences. So,
right.
in our programs, it's the most extraordinary thing when we release someone from the frozen moments of trauma. And it literally is like a melting. We'll take them to the root, and I will work with them so that the whole frozenness starts to release. I watch people's faces change like that. Their cheeks will suddenly melt and soften. Or I've watched people who have backache for their whole life, suddenly their body just unfreezes and the pain is gone. I myself have experienced that too. The emotional body is energy. And energy wants to move. Have you ever tried to stop a river flowing?
You can't do that.
You can't do that. If you try, even though if you put a dam there, the pressure is building and building. That's the same with emotion. And of course, the mind and the body, you can't separate the mind and the body. We become identified with that pain. We become identified with that tension. My mother used to say to me when I was a little girl, it's a pretty hardcore thing to say. She used to say to me, I don't know what it is about your face, but it makes my blood boil. And my whole life, surprise, surprise, I used to clench my jaw. My cheeks would be tight. And it was only when I released the trauma of that experience from the original moment, that my jaw pain disappeared. I stopped grinding my teeth. And yeah, my goodness, the emotional body it's like a universe of energy that we have inside.
Yes, I love that. Yes, the universe of energy is our body. It's so true. And I think people are just really starting to understand what the energy body is, right? And the vibrational aspect of it, and how much we're connected to everything around us, and how much in tune we are, or out of tune of our environment, for sure. And when we're talking about, let's talk about the relationship between, so you mentioned the maturation piece, and I'd love for us to hit into that a little bit more. The relationship between maturation and the evolution of human consciousness. So now we're like talking about how we can move. We talked about that trauma piece. So we move into this place of the maturation that you talked about earlier on that cellular level, moving into evolution.
Okay, so I guess the most technical way and useful way to describe what maturation is, there was a psychologist, I think a Swiss psychologist called Jean Piaget, and he was doing all these research experiments, projects on child development. And what he found was much more effective is discovering what a child couldn't see more than what a child could see. And what he discovered was at different stages of development of the child's growth, the child would have certain blind spots. At a certain stage, a child couldn't have the perception of two sides to one story. They think everybody sees the same thing. At another stage of development, a child cannot distinguish between length and width. They think that everything is the same size. There are certain blind spots in our field of perception. Now, most psychologists will probably, this is evolving now, but will think that once we have learned how to distinguish size and length and width, and we've learned how to control our emotional impulses, and we've learned how to be able to have certain kind of social interactions, most psychologists will think that we have now reached adulthood. But what we're saying in maturation is that's not where it ends. You may have grown into a bigger body, but who's looking through the eyes of that body? Meaning, who is looking through your eyes and giving you your perception of intimacy? Is it still a 4-year-old? Is it still a 6-year-old? Who is looking through your eyes and giving you a perception of money? Is it a teenager? Who is looking through your eyes and giving you your perception of anything, of the world? Now, at the beginning, there's the unfreezing and the dissolving of stuck moments in time that are literally giving you reality. When my husband and I were having the same fight over and over again for 9 years, whether it's about the dishwasher or money or the children, it was the same fight. I would feel like my needs weren't met. He would feel trapped. I would feel like I was being abandoned. I was not seeing my husband. I was still a 4-year-old seeing my mother. That was a moment that needed maturation, an outgrowing, an evolving, and a maturing of my perception of reality, of love, of intimacy. We can continue to outgrow these frozen, stuck moments that it's not just healing. It literally shifts your entire seeing and perception of the world. And then it goes even further. It's death apparently is a stage of maturation. When we are outgrowing the whole identity, the survival mechanism that has defined us our whole life, and you really start to experience yourself as everything, nothing, how does reality appear to you then?
Totally.
And so what's so beautiful about maturation is that it's endless. There's no final destination. There's also nothing to add. There's no need to be a bigger, better version of yourself. In fact, the only work that needs to be done is what needs to be released and dissolved that you are carrying that is not yourself. Because when you are your full, whole self, wow, the extraordinary infinite space that you are becomes available. So we have people in our work who've been with us 8, 9, 10 years because they just keep growing and growing.
Right.
And growing. So it's way more than just healing trauma, but actually tapping into, wow, what is it? What is this potential that we have as human beings? Beyond the trauma, beyond the stories, beyond the needing to fix ourselves, let's look at, wow, what's this relationship that we can have with reality, with consciousness? Wow, what about that?
Totally. Yes. That relationship is completely different, I think, than people have been understanding in the past. I think we're moving really into this new place of how we can evolve into a space of, it's not like agelessness, but I think that's not quite the word I'm looking for, but a space. Timelessness. Thank you. I'm like, that wasn't the right word. Yes. Timelessness for our potential. And I like that you said that too, that the place of trying to become the best version of ourselves over and over again, but we already are the best version of ourselves. It's just about having those glasses, optimizing that looking glass where we're seeing ourselves from this different perspective, letting things go, like you said, that aren't really kind of like serving us in our present moment. There is the place I wanted to talk to you about too, is, what I think that there's also an old form of thought of like, no matter what you do, you have to break through the trauma. And I feel like there's a place where you have to break through. Have you lived through the trauma enough? Right? Do we have to do all this trauma work to be in this place of happiness? Can we just, okay, I've gone through that work. but can I be in the present moment? That's what I'm trying to say. How do you be in that present moment and not like looking into the past and looking to the future? How can it be this or I was that?
Yes. I think I would like to replace the word trauma with blind spots,
Yeah,
only
that's a good one.
because trauma has become loaded now. It comes loaded with a story that there's something wrong with us and we have to fix it. But let's call it blind spots, because essentially that's what trauma is. When a wound is unhealed and unwhole, we separate and split from our whole self and we go into survival in order to deal with that wound. That's just the nature of the human mind. The human mind's only design function is to help us survive. It has no other function. Your mind does not care if you fulfill your dreams. Your mind is only interested in helping you survive long enough so that you can procreate and not become extinct.
Right, because it's the physical body. Like it's not right. It's not our source spirit body. It's our physical body. Yes, survive on the planet.
Survive on the planet. And pain, wounds, heartbreak, they're all forms of trauma that activate the mind to find ways to survive. Help, can't feel this pain anymore, I'll die. We need to find a way to no longer do that again. And that creates a blind spot. And a blind spot it's like an illusion, an assumption that we identify with, that we get lost in, about who we are and how the world is. Meaning, a fish swimming in water doesn't know it's swimming in water. It's just in the world.
It's just in its environment, doodling along.
It's not swimming, going, I'm a fish in water. No, this is the world, isn't it? And then one day, maybe if it has a big awakening, it might suddenly realize, wow, I'm in something and it's wet. Wow, I didn't even realize. We are the same. That's us coming out of a blind spot. Whoa, this whole piece around not being loved or not being chosen, that's not just something I'm trying to solve. That's been my perception of the whole world. And so, in answer to your original question, if we were to focus on just trying to dissolve all the blind spots, we would be doing it way past this lifetime.
Right. Be endless, right? Yes.
At the beginning, it does need to be that way, but that is not the final goal.
Right.
That's not the point. The whole point is, and this is what we teach, this is why the ontological piece is so powerful. The whole point is, can it help you shift your entire relationship with being human, with your own mind body? Can it shift your entire relationship with how your mind works, with how your relationship with reality is? Why is that even more important? Because when you have shifted your relationship with that, then you don't have to keep blocking all the blind spots. You are now in a different dance with life. And that is a new place to live from. And that's the whole point, isn't it? That we want to live.
Right. Yes. Live. Yes.
Live. If you're waiting, like we say to people when they come out of our program, we have a hero program called Listening to Life, which is our entry-level program, even though it's very deep. We say to people at the end, don't look for the results of this program in how you feel, because how you feel is like the weather. One moment the clouds will come, the next moment it will be sunny, but the clouds will come again. It's not about how we feel. It's our relationship with how we feel.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so true. Yes.
Can you allow sadness to be in your body and simply let it be sadness without making it mean that it's because I failed and I'm now doing something wrong and the world is going to fall apart and I need to fix it? No. What would it even be like if your whole relationship with emotion was to simply let the human experience be present? What would it be like if your whole relationship with the mind was that the mind continuously barrages noise? Do you know we have 80,000 thoughts that cross our mind in 24 hours?
That's so many. That's like an obscene amount, right? No wonder we're trying to live our lives and we can't sleep.
How much more effective is it to, instead of trying to control and change your thoughts, to have a relationship with the mind where you are no longer identified with thought.
Exactly.
Then it can just keep and you're just sitting here going, God, we're funny animals. Look at how much noise is going across my mind today.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Being aware of our emotions and letting, like, the emotion is our guidance point, our radar, right? And how we can feel and learn, oh, I reacted to that situation with that emotion. How did it make me feel? How does that feel in my body? Am I feeling it physically in my body? How is it shifting? There's so many different pieces. We're just an emotional body. Emotions living in this physical unit.
Exactly. Now, if we have done enough work that we no longer need to try and change it or fix it or make it mean anything, then we're back in the present. Oof. Then even with sadness sitting in your body, you suddenly find yourself able to be so present with your children in a way that it's blissful. That even with grief in your heart, you see the trees and you're blown away by the beauty of life. That's a different relationship with being in life. Yesterday, I was in an appointment with my osteopath, who, by the way, is not an osteopath. She's like a multi-dimensional soul healer. She like touches my body and is like,
love it.
she said to me yesterday, Nicky, do you think that if we could feel every single experience 100% with no suppression, with no trying to control it, if we felt everything fully 100%, do you think we would be in pain? And I said, no, it's only the mind that creates all the struggle. If we had a different relationship with our mind, life just flows. It's like the river that flows. That's when we start having access to our potential. What do we want to create with that life? Books do we want to write? What houses do we want to buy? What art do we want to paint? What do we want to create with the life?
Yes, coming from that place is such a different place of living, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the true place of living. And I'd love for you to maybe give us some examples of some common patterns that you've observed in people's lives that prevent them from really discovering that, like in the work with you do with your clients. Do you see a common pattern? And then what do you see? Is there a commonality of breaking through that pattern?
Yes, the first training that I've ever taught is called Break the Cycle, which is really about these repeating patterns. And essentially, it's simplistic, but it's true. That is really the root to most human suffering, that we human beings have problems and then we spend our life trying to fix those problems. And there is a certain consistent design of the way in which human beings deal with problems. And even though the details might be different, my problem is my weight, or my problem is money, or my problem is relationships, the way in which we experience problems and deal with problems is the same. It always creates the same level of suffering. I'll give an example. Okay, here's one. A little baby is in a pram. Mum's pushing baby in the pram, and the baby's playing with a doll. And mum stops to speak to a friend, chat, and the baby drops the doll, and the doll falls out of the pram. Baby starts crying. I've dropped the doll. She's crying and trying to express that she's dropped the doll and she's upset about it. The mum turns to baby, doesn't understand why she's crying, hasn't seen the doll, tries to console her, can't console her, and says, oh, I better go, and pushes the pram off and leaves the doll on the ground. Now, that seems like a trivial nothing. What's happening in the body mind is that the experience of panic, frustration, heartbreak, sadness, of dropping the doll and trying to communicate and not being able to be heard, that is happening experientially in the body, while simultaneously the mind will make a conceptual meaning or story about it. I don't get hurt in the world. That experiential memory entangled with the concept in the mind, I never get hurt in the world, or nobody hears me, gets wired in the neural pathways as if that is the way it is. Gives you a representation of who you are. And every single time that baby grows up to be a little girl, grows up to be a woman, every time she finds herself in any similar situation where she is needing to use her voice, needing to communicate what she needs, she will be flooded with the identical experience that she had in that past, entangled with the I never get heard. And the blind spot is it will seem like it is happening now. She will deal with it as if it's happening now. Either we will not say anything and we suppress our voice and we won't write the book and we hide and we sabotage, or I will use my voice really loud and you will hear me. And that then starts creating a whole barrage of problems.
Right.
Why, no matter how much I use my voice, nobody hears me? Why do I still feel not heard? And then we try again, and then maybe we work harder, and then maybe we do this, and it still keeps repeating. And it's called the vicious circle, the vicious circle of the human condition. And it's paradoxical. We think the problem is out there when actually we are the ones generating.
Right. The endless generators.
And this is consistent in all human beings. This is part of the ontological design. It's not just you and your problem and me. And no, this is the design of the human condition. This is what causes us so much suffering. And so the beginnings of breaking out of the vicious circle is to see what is generating it. You are the one generating it. Hands up here, anyone listening who's had multiple relationships, but it's the same relationship.
Right. Hands up out there, everyone. Right. Yes. Repeating the same relationship over and over.
Over and over again. Even though I did that workshop and I did these affirmations and I changed the way that I speak now. Oh, shit. Same man, different pants. Sorry. Here we are again. I can tell you that is not just you and me. That is consistent among the species.
So true, Nikki. Yes. And I think that's where that piece of frustration healing comes in, right? Where you're like, just what you said, I've done all the workshops and I do the affirmations and I meditate. And it's just like, why can't I break that effing pattern? It comes up over and over again.
Yes. And the problem is, and it really is an annoying problem, the older we get and the more it repeats, the more entrenched the wiring in the neural pathways get.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then the more we try to get out of it, the worse it gets. And then so the older we get, the grumpier we get, the more frustrated we get, the more resigned we get. And that's the biggest killer to the human spirit, resignation. When we get to the point and we're like, what's the point? Why should I bother trying anymore? That is what kills the spirit.
Totally. Yeah. It's like snuffs out our flame.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So true. And I think that being in that awareness space can sometimes, that's the place of being on the planet right now in our spiritual growth, in our growth as humans and growth as healers, is being aware, just having the awareness of, yes, I have these patterns and it's okay that I have the patterns. It's okay that I'm frustrated. I'm not the only one. I think sometimes we get so engrossed in our own, like you said, the grumpy old person, like that we get so engrossed in our own feelings that we don't have the ability, the awareness to communicate in our own environment with our community, that with our friends and peers and community that's experiencing those same things, just like you mentioned with that cycle patterns. We're all doing it, or even as a globe on the planet, we're all having that same wave of patterns and emotions.
Absolutely. And I think that's when that really, really lands, that is a liberating moment, and we see this a lot with people in our programs, because I'm teaching not just about how to heal, but I'm teaching you about the design of the being of human being, which is consistent in the species. When you really get it, you realize this is not personal. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing anything wrong. This is the way that the human body mind works.
That's
But
right.
we haven't been educated on this, and we haven't been educated on how powerful we are. What another really liberating moment is when you realize that every single aspect of your life has been generated by you, even unconsciously. What do you think is possible when you become conscious?
Exactly. Right. When we're in the conscious state, we're limitless in our ability to manifest. It's just amazing when we get to that place.
We are literally like an absolute eruption of power and life
Mm,
if we are ready to start accessing that. And
mm.
that's our potential. We are the only animal in the animal kingdom that has this human mind that can see itself. No other animal can have that. We have this mind where we can see ourselves, which also causes a lot of suffering. But
Right. Both sides of the coin.
when you can have a relationship with it that is much more conscious and powerful,
Mm.
we can literally shift our own perception and consciousness endlessly. Endlessly. There is no limit to our potential.
Exactly. And I'd love, that's a great kind of piece I wanted to talk about with you today, is about abundance and accessing that. Because I think you mentioned a little bit of it earlier, but I'd love for us to talk about it a little bit more this evening, morning. What time is it where you are?
Morning, 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 morning.
Okay, morning for you, evening for me. And because I think that's a place where many people feel scarcity and limited in their life. And how, if you could tie in that piece of abundance to what you've been talking about with that maturation concept, I would love that.
Okay, so there's two things that normally immediately arise when you say the word abundance, and that's money,
Right, money.
and then that's enough. Is it enough? Have I got
Mm-hmm.
enough? And I want to speak about both of them. Firstly, money, and I'm going to say this knowing that it is a difficult one to take in, but money itself is a story. Someone took a piece of paper and a round piece of metal and gave it meaning and made a story about it. And then we all collectively joined on the agreement that this piece of paper and this little round metal coin has this meaning, and we're all going to live with this story. So let's first just say what it is. Money, money is a story, but we need to sometimes play with these stories in order to play the game of life. In order to play the game of life,
Mhm.
right? But don't lose yourself in that story. Essentially, the only thing that gives money meaning is what meaning you give to it. And the only real power that money has for you is what you do with it. And so the relationships that we have with money are so entangled with survival, and survival comes with all sorts of things like not having enough food, not having enough love, I'm going to die, I'm not going to make it, which is essentially the root of all trauma, which is why money, food, and sex are the three topics that immediately activate the most survival in all human beings.
Yep, exactly.
And so, really, the first step with money is you have to start really looking with radical honesty at what stories you are carrying around it that are stories. But you are living as if they're real. Because at the end of the day, there will never be enough in your bank account if what you really are longing for is to feel safe in the world. I have known millionaires who still have panic attacks at night because they think they're going to lose everything. The money in the bank account will never take away your unsafety. The money in your bank account will never give you the love that you never got from your mother. The money in your bank account will never, ever give you your sense of worth. there will never be enough of what you never really wanted. So first things first, get to the root of what it is that you really want and need first. And that comes to the second thing, is this whole piece around not enough. Another consistent piece of the design of human being, and it is consistent in all human beings, is at the root of our survival stories, there's always a not enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not safe. There's always something that we're lacking, or we perceive that we're lacking. And that's the root to trauma. And that usually that not is what is driving our relationship with abundance. We think that if we get the abundance, it will take away the not.
Exactly. Yes. It's like the magic wand of eliminating the not.
No, abundance is not a something. Abundance is a field. Abundance is a whole field, a whole domain, and it begins here. It begins when you no longer are in the not, when you feel and experience your own worth, when you feel and experience your own value, when you realize that safety is all you've longed for and you create internal safety. It happens here first, and then that shifts the field that you are living from. We are being speaks way louder than anything we say or do. And that is what starts generating the stuff.
The stuff, yes.
Last year, was it last year? No, 2021, we made our first million. And I cannot tell you how many years I've been thinking about that moment. But what was so extraordinary was when we crossed the million line, my coach said to me, "How do you feel?" And I said, "I feel the same way I did yesterday." And I was like, oh, I thought it would change me. But I had already changed.
Exactly. Yes.
I already, before I even made it, in fact, maybe the reason why I was able to make it was because I had already healed that part of my whole heart, my whole being, that felt hungry and longing all the time. That there was a real sense of worth and value. And so when the million happened, it was pretty cool, but it didn't make me feel like a different person.
You'd already matured, so to speak, into that person.
Exactly. And I think it was Jim Carrey that said, "I wish everybody would make a million, because they'll realize that it is available to everybody." And the world that we live in will do whatever it can for you not to know this. We've been living in a world that wants to condition you to not know your potential. That's changing now.
For sure.
Value and commodities are changing from stuff to presence and consciousness. And that's scary for the world, because if human beings really tap into their potential, all human beings, no matter what color skin you are, what community you grew up in, all of us as a design, as an animal, if we really tap into that,
huge.
We would literally change how this planet runs.
Yes. And I think that is the next step. I think we're living it in a little bit, maybe 30% of the planet. I don't know that much yet, but yeah, maybe less. Yes, but it's happening. The more of us that are living in that space, the more that will shift into that space. And people that aren't going to live in that space are just going to fade off into the universe, so to speak.
Yes, it is. There's a kind of a filtering process happening right now. And essentially, life is the facilitator. Everybody's being given the same invitation, but the ones that are fighting it are going to be in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And I have seen that a lot. Don't resist. Just say yes. Don't resist. Just say yes.
Just say yes. Yes. Nikki, I know we could talk forever today, but I want to be aware of our time together. And I want to make sure that we talk about your amazing
Masterclass.
workshop. Sorry, I was like, what's the word? I got so wrapped up in maturation that I might have got to bring my mind back into the moment. Yes, tell us about the infinite potential of being human training that you have coming up. Starting
Yes.
tomorrow it opens up for sign up.
Yes, so we open up tomorrow for sign up. It's a brand new 4-day masterclass. I'm very excited to be launching this. It comes hand in hand with a completely new rebrand. I've spent a year working on this. I don't think I've ever put so much time and energy and heart and money and resources into creating this, the infinite potential of being human. And that is really what I want to make a stand for now, for everything that comes through our business and comes through our work, that each one of you can tap into that potential or even a remembering of it, because the planet needs that now more than ever. So it's a 4-day training. There is a standard package and a VIP package. Every day I will be teaching for an hour on the different elements of what it is that is blocking our potential on a body, mind, consciousness level, and the possibility that is available to us as a species, as a design, as an animal, in what we can create with our life and with all life. So for the standard package, you have an hour of teaching from me every day for 4 days. It starts on the 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th of April. And then if you want to go VIP, you then have another hour with me every day where I'm hands-on coaching you. We'll be able to work hands-on with you and help you actually get to the root of certain things that are getting stuck, help you see parts of yourself and where you may have been seeing reality from that you couldn't see yourself, a blind spot. So it's a very kind of powerful extra hour every day. And yeah, I'm so excited to teach this one. Really, at the root of it is getting to the root of this identity that you think you are, defined this identity, and the possibility of outgrowing and shifting the identity that you are living from that creates your world.
That sounds amazing, Nikki. I'm sure our listeners out there are so excited. And they also have a code that you generously have given 10% off to people who start signing up tomorrow. And that's Dr. Lulu 10. And we'll put that in the show notes for the listeners. And the registration opens tomorrow. And when does it close for people that are,
Yes, really, the training starts on Monday, the 24th, and we will keep the doors open for people to join, I think, for the first couple of days, 24th, 25th. But I would highly recommend that you get in there from the start, because every day what I'll do is I'll build on each day, and we'll just be going deeper and bigger each day. But one thing is that you will be able to get the replay of everything, and you will own it for life, and that will be yours. If you do miss day 1, then you will get a replay for that, and you can come to day 2, day 3, day 4. So I would say try and get in by the 24th, but the doors will stay open probably until the 26th.
Okay, that's perfect. But we'll make sure to put all those links in the show notes so that the listeners who are tuning in tomorrow can start signing up, which is great. I'm so excited for you. That sounds like an amazing masterclass. And as we're wrapping up, one last fun question for you today, Nikki. If you had an unlimited budget, what would you do right now to make the biggest impact on the health and welfare of our planet?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is taking that money into communities and areas on the planet where people have not been given a voice and have not been given the resources to really heal and know themselves. I have a dream of pulling together a really big team where we can offer powerful weekends of transformation to people who just can't afford it, aren't being even given that conversation, because they are the ones that need to remember more than ever that the power is in them and start accessing that. And so that is a dream of mine. I'm still holding that dream. If I had a limitless budget, I would absolutely go into as many of those areas as I can and do that one.
That's so powerful. That's great. I love that one, Nikki. That's definitely doable. I love asking that question because everything that everybody answers is always doable, right? It just depends on, and then we just put it out to the universe now. It's out there. Now we just have to let it happen. Fabulous. Thanks again for joining us. Tell our listeners how they can find you, website, follow you, all of that good stuff.
Yes, so you can find me on my website. We'll have a new website coming out on Monday, which is exciting, www.nicciclinch.com. Or you can follow me on Instagram, Nicky_Clinch, where I share pretty much daily. And yeah, please come. You can also get my book called Surrender, which you can buy anywhere that sells books. Break free of your past, live beyond your story. I look forward to hearing from all of you. I hope to see you guys in the masterclass as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Nikki, for joining us today. I really loved our conversation.
Thank you. Bye.